All right, welcome to episode 317 of the Comic Watchers. Tonight we have a returning guest, and this time he's brought somebody with him. Uh, Tom, you were last on our show back in January of last year for episode 246, where you were talking about your dynamite work with
Oh,
was it Herculoids?
Herculoid. Okay.
Yep. So why don't you introduce your co-partner or co-partner in crime here, who's joining us tonight, and then we'll get into talking about a little something different tonight. I know you guys have written comics together before, but this is for a novella, right?
Yeah, this is actually
This graphic novel.
a graphic novel
Cool. Oh, graphic novel. Okay.
for
So
this is Jeannine Acheson, my writing partner. What am I? What are you like? Wanting me to be good?
Yeah.
No, I'm good. We've written a bunch of stuff together. What year did we start writing?
2020 during the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, we
Yeah.
started writing together and haven't stopped. So it's not stopped. Their
Yeah.
latest is our first completed graphic novel. We did some comic book series and stuff, but this is the first graphic novel, full graphic novel that we got coming out from Paper Cuts. So making
oh, we love paper cuts.
They're great.
So why don't we kind of start where I usually like to start and let each of you kind of talk about your journey as a comic book reader and as a comic book professional.
Ooh,
oh wow.
wow.
Why don't you go first?
First, okay.
Yours is relatively short.
Yeah, mine's a quick story. I probably I started reading comics probably when I was really young, probably like, I don't know, 8 or 10 or so, and it was like Archie comics. Like that was my favorite. Um, I didn't pick up comics again until I was about in high school, I think, when Tom and I were hanging out together in high school. And then we kind of parted ways for almost 40 years. And during the pandemic, I asked Tom if he would come and talk to my students about having his novels turned into movies. And then the pandemic happened, and we just kind of kept on talking. And we ended up writing a novel together. And my first foray into comics was when Tom asked me to write a Vampirella Valentine's Day special with him for 2021 for Dynamite Entertainment, and that was my first comic that I ever wrote. So, and we've done quite a few collections since then.
Yeah.
And this is our first graphic novel together. So it's been a very short, quick, fun-filled 5 years.
And Tom, I know that we talked about this last time, but it's been a year, and maybe we have some new watchers and
Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, as far as reading comics, I've been reading comics since I was probably 5 or 6. Um, Collected comics from like that point straight through, and then started working in comics. And oh god, I had my first published comic story in I don't even remember what year it was.
Like was it early 90s?
It must have been the year. I think it was like 92, 93. I was Steve Bissett did a collection of horror short stories called Taboo, and I was in the very first issue of Taboo with like Alan Moore and Clive Barker wrote the intro and all these other really cool characters. So that was in some really good company for my first foray into comics.
I hear they're going to be big things in the industry. Coming up.
What those guys?
Yeah, those guys.
They're gonna be movers and shakers. Uh, but after that, I mean, I think I started doing a lot of work in independents, a lot of like black and white comics, like right around the time of like the Turtles, like after the Turtles. I did a lot of work at Caliber and Harris Comics with Vampirella in the 90s. And I'm still writing her now in the 2025s. Yeah, I've done all kinds of stuff. I've been at this a while. So now I'm dragging Jeannine along with me.
Mm.
Well, let's get right into to the graphic novel. Give us, an overview of what it's about, and we'll go from there.
All right.
It's about a.
We give the title.
Oh yeah.
I announce the title.
Nothing Can Stop the Ape is the title, and it tells the story of Maxwell, a 12-ish-year-old boy who's on an archaeological dig with his mother, who's an archaeologist, and she unwittingly uncovers an ancient goddess who then assumes her body. And it's up to Maxwell to enlist the help of another ancient god to help get his mother back and save the world, basically.
And the other god ain't very nice.
No.
The ape is not a very nice character. He's pretty much a villain. So
Yeah.
that's so it's kind of like the reverse roles. Like you have the goddess that you think is nice is actually not very nice, and then you have the ape who's definitely not nice, who has to kind of pretend to be nice to try to help Maxwell get his mom back. So, and then hilarity ensues.
So, what was the inspiration for? I mean, you can't go wrong with apes.
No, no. But the inspiration really with the book itself is the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Johnny Quest and the Herculoids, Space Ghost. They're it's kind of like paying a homage to those great like 1960s, 1970s cartoons from Hanna-Barbera. So.
Ones that we had grown up watching, like when we were kids. It was like Saturday morning, you sat down with your cereal in front of the TV and you just watched, like we were on for hours.
Oh yeah.
So we watched them, and that was it for the 60s and 70s. That was the thing we did.
So, tell us, you kind of given us an overview of the book. Is it a complete self-contained story, or is it going to be a series, or how's it going?
We'd like it to be a series. I mean, we wrap up. Wouldn't you say we wrap up our?
At first, we didn't. Our very first script didn't really have an ending. We were like, what have we done? Like, we need to at least end some of this so that we can move forward, because we didn't know. We still don't know if we'll get another book or another 2 books or whatever. So we kind of wrapped up one part of the story, but we haven't wrapped up the rest of it. We're hoping for another volume. We'll see what happens.
We're very ambitious with our stories.
Yeah.
we always kind of paint this enormous picture that we always hope that we'll get to actually paint.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So how did you guys end up, working with paper cuts?
Well, Tom had been kicking this idea around for like 30 years or so.
Yeah, the original idea started about 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it was originally kind of a darker. All the iterations of it were darker and probably more grown up, and more horrorful, I think. But we had done a comic book Soul Taker with Mad Cave Studios, and we were talking a lot about Hanna-Barbera, about how Tom wanted to write the Herculoids, but he didn't know who had the license. We talked about that for quite a while, and then all of a sudden it kind of hit on us that maybe the Hanna-Barbera homage was the way to go with this, and then it just kind of all fell together after that.
Yeah, once we figured out we wanted to do that homage, we got Craig Russo, the artist, involved, and he did up a really nice, lot of nice character designs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we put together a package that we brought with us to San Diego Comic-Con and showed it to Mark Irwin, who's the president of Mad Cave, and he was like, "Oh, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Giant ape. We got to do
An
this."
instant on the spot, like, yeah, we definitely want to do this. We're going to do it. So we walked away from San Diego with a job. It was awesome.
Again, you can't go wrong, putting an ape in your story.
No, and having him be the star of the story is like very smart.
Yeah.
So, seeing how this is more, it's paper cuts, so it's going to be kid friendly. And
Oh, definitely.
how is it going from, writing Vampirella and stuff like that to kid friendly?
It's challenging sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, what's funny is that it's all the mindset. It's when you sit down in front of the computer for the day, all right, what am I doing today? All right, I'm doing Vampirella, or I'm doing, more kid friendly. It's just, I really don't have a problem, other than every once in a while in the ape we got a little too violent, and the editor would say, "Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
All right, you can't do
You can't
that.
kill those people.
Pull back on that.
Yeah,
You can't do that." That wasn't too often.
no. And I mean, you've written everything for all ages anyway. So for you, I think it was just a matter of like deciding which age group you were writing for.
That's true. That's true.
There were a couple of times when we got told that we had to pull things back. If only twice.
Yeah.
Was it Adam that told you that? Because I can talk to him.
No, it was Lauren.
Oh, okay. But so how's it different from working with Mad Cave and paper cuts than it is, say, a Dynamite?
I think Dynamite, because most of my Dynamite work, and even some of the work that we did together, they have a tendency to leave me alone. They kind of like know. Like, for example, like most of the stuff that I do for Dynamite is in the Vampirella universe. So when Jeannine and I did like Vampiverse and Vampirella Dark Reflections and Panther, those were all kind of ideas that we brought to them and said, "Hey, we're going to put Vampirella in this situation. What do you think?" And it was kind of like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And then we just turned the scripts in. There was very little in. They kind of trusted us to do what we had talked about originally in our original pitches and stuff for them. So whereas with Paper Cuts and Mad Cave, kind of had to prove ourselves that yeah, we can do this with the kind of material, and here's how we'll do it, and this is what it would look like, and blah blah blah. So yeah, I think with Dynamite there's a little more freedom, just because of the fact that I've written the character for so long, and Jeannine is writing with me, so I think they kind of figure I won't let her get too out of control on the character. So yeah, so that's the difference. The people who I've worked with for a long time versus the people who I hadn't worked with.
Well, why don't you guys talk a little bit about how you guys work on the story together, and then how you guys work when it's time for the art.
Okay.
At this point, still, I think the ape was the first time that we kind of separated to do stuff. So whenever we're coming up with an idea, it's always like the two of us either on Skype or in person, and one of us is generally sitting and taking notes, usually me, and we just kind of talk through. And Tom's amazing at like plotting and stuff. I'm still learning a lot of that. So once we figure out what the story is going to be about, generally we sit either like on Skype or together in Tom's office, and we kind of work on things together. Once we know what you know, Asian panels are going to look like, we decide when we start to start to lay them out. And a lot of the time we do it together because I'm still learning. But once I think we got to, I don't know, 5th chapter or so of the APE,
In the APE, yeah.
that Herculoids work that you were working on.
Right.
And you were scripting that and playing that out. And so I did a lot. I did some, probably a good, maybe half of the layouts by myself for the APE, which was daunting and really challenging at first. And we'd talk about them, and I'd go and I'd do my work, and then I'd come back and show them to Tom. And the first couple of chapters were like, we changed a lot of stuff, which was fine. But by the end, like, it got easier, and I kind of relaxed with a little bit. And the changes were like minimal by the time we got to the end of it. And then we scripted everything together. So it was interesting for me. It was like a huge learning experience, which was really good and really beneficial. Once we got Craig on board for the artwork, it was so cool just to see it like all come alive. That was fun. It was good.
How about from your point of view, or your vantage, Tom? Any different?
No, I mean, I think it was kind of cool to see Jeannine kind of come into her own with like learning how to do layouts and learning to trust your instincts in terms of how something might look. Or, I mean, I think a lot of it is that with her, it was she didn't quite have the confidence to give it a shot before, whereas we had no choice this time because I had to get other things done. So I had to like say, no, you're gonna do this. You're gonna figure this out. You're gonna work it out.
Just on my fire.
I'll look at it later. I'll look at it after. I have to finish this other stuff, and I'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a really fun aspect of it, to watch her kind of come into her own, trust her instincts, and things like that. And I think, like Jeannine said, once Craig started to get the pages and stuff, Craig's such an old pro that he just looks at the scripts and he's like, on it, doing it, and we get stuff that looks way better than even what we described in our panels. So yeah, he's just a pro. So yeah, it was really cool.
Now, did I hear you right that how did you guys get hooked up with Craig? Did you guys seek him out, or kind of went to work with him?
Well, I had worked with him on Young Hellboy, so we were still kind of like talking and stuff like that. And when we came up with this idea, it was kind of like, all right, who do you picture drawing? And it was like kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
He has such a unique style that we felt it would be perfect for this kind of Saturday morning bombastic craziness. We thought it would be like really, really appropriate. So I was like, oh, I don't know, he might be too busy to take this on. And we asked him, and we told him about it, and he didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
And he helped with when we were putting together the proposal for Mad Cave Paper Cuts. He helped put the proposal together and provided us with some really cool artwork and stuff like that. So
he's amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
So, of the characters in the book, do you have any that have become maybe a favorite of yours, or one that you enjoy writing more so than the others?
Well, the ape is my...
Yeah, the ape is his favorite.
The ape is me. So it's like the cranky side of me.
I think like the elementals.
Yeah, there's these elementals.
Fire and rock. And,
There are these 4 characters that are representative of the elementals that are kind of like almost like caveman superheroes.
Yeah.
those were neat because they were developed more as we wrote.
Mhm.
I think our intentions for them originally were just to kind of be devices that would allow us to
Like tell the story of Thuna and Dragon.
yeah, in certain ways, and they didn't come across like super important. But I think as we started writing, we realized how important they were to the story and how neat they were, and we got to develop them as we wrote. And they became Jeannine's favorites.
Yeah, I really like them. I think they're cool.
So you said that the ape is you, Tom.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you just and I know you said earlier that you know kind of write whatever every week, but is there anything that you have to do to get into that to channel the ape?
No, I'm a miserable SOB most of the time. So
You're fine.
but yeah, it was super important. I've said this before, but it's super important that character, he's a bad guy, and he's gonna stay a bad guy. I mean, he's not a nice creature at all. And even though he is kind of like the star of the book, he's a bad guy. He's a villain. He may do some heroic type acts, but he's not exactly doing them for good.
He's doing them under duress.
He's doing them under duress, doing them for another reason than what you'd expect.
Yeah.
But I remember once I'd been working for another publisher on a project called The Atomic Frenchie, and the main character of Atomic Frenchie was a little French bulldog that wants to take over the world. He's like a genius, and he wants to take over the world. Now he was a bad guy, and Tom McWeedy, who was the artist on it, I both said, yeah, he's a villain, and this is what he's going to do. And we had multiple publishers say to us, we love it. It's fantastic. It's great. It's funny. But could you make him a little nicer? Could you like turn him at the end, like like how the Grinch's heart grew? Could you maybe? And we flat out said no, and we lost a bunch of publishing deals on that book series because we wouldn't budge on the fact that he was a bad guy, and we wanted him to stay a bad guy. So that's why with the ape, it was such a breath of fresh air that Mad Cave and Paper Cuts completely understood that was the point of the story was that he was a bad guy, and but he was a bad guy that was going to be used for good. So,
Talking about bad guy apes, do you have any like sitting here I can only think of some DC apes that are tend to be bad. Do you have any favorites aside? Because favorite apes, yes.
Favorite apes. The Gorilla Grodd in the Flash comics is the one that immediately comes to mind. Did Marvel have any apes? I'm trying to think. Marvel had to have had an ape. I can't believe that they would.
I don't know. My Marvel guy is not here tonight, so.
I know because DC had the Gorilla Grodd, had
Monsieur
Mala, the French gorilla. That one's right. He was a little beret. Jeannine would like that.
I guess you could put the Ultra Humanite in there too.
Maybe, yeah, because he was like a white gorilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do Detective Chimp.
Yes.
A chimp is an ape. So I would write a Detective Chimp comic in a heartbeat.
I would read your Detective Chimp comic in a heartbeat.
I would love to write Detective Chimp.
Oh, I mean, he was one of my favorite characters when he was in Shadow Pack and Justice League Dark.
Justice League Dark, yeah. Look at her shaking her head.
Out of control.
You just don't know what's good.
So Jeannine, having only been, writing comics for a short period of time, um, what do you feel is the most important thing you've learned, and what would you tell, Jeannine of 2020 who's getting ready to get into this?
Don't get involved with Sniegoski.
Run. No. I. It's interesting to me because I was an English teacher for 15 years, and I taught seventh grade English. And I remember at the very beginning of my teaching career, graphic novels were like becoming the new big thing. And I remember thinking, I don't know, like, is this a valid form of literature, really? Is it? And it was, because remember talking with the librarian at school, and we were talking about how she had kids reading, I want to say it was Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And she had like 6th and 7th grade boys in a book club talking about the characters and talking about their motivations and talking about their feelings, the characters and feelings and everything. And I thought, well, damn, yeah, it is. It's totally So I think the best thing that I've learned about like writing comics is that you can convey the same kinds of things in a comic that you can in any other type of prose. It just looks different. And that the artwork is doing half of the heavy lifting. So it's actually almost a little bit easier sometimes to get your point across and to get a character's feelings across, because you've got the artist doing half of the work, sometimes even more than half the work. So it's fun. I like scripting comics because of the economy of the words that you have to use. Like, you have to use as few as possible. And I find that really challenging, especially like as an English teacher. Like, words are my stock in trade. So having to like use as few as possible, which I'm totally not doing now, is a challenge, and I think that's really fun. So if I could go back and give myself advice, I would just say, just jump in, just do it. Don't be afraid to do it.
And as a new writer are there any writers who you kind of gravitate towards to, because of the way they write, the way they present the story?
Sniegoski.
Sniegoski is my number one. Definitely him. I like a lot of Tom King's stuff. I love James Tinian.
James Tinian.
Yep.
And I've been finding lately that I've been reading a lot of the new EC stuff, the Torment and Cruel Worlds and all that stuff. And that's just kind of like various writers.
And it's like little short stories. It's like little short, like that's the Oni stuff that the EC, the revival of the EC titles.
Yeah. So those are they're really fun. So yeah, but I think probably Tinian and King are my favorites.
She's not much of a superhero person.
Yeah, I'm not huge into
Yeah, that's fine.
odd stuff.
What's it say?
And Tom, how do you have you learned anything, writing this graphic novel that
With Jeannine?
no, just for you personally, even though you've had a long career writing, is there anything that you have taken away from this particular work?
I like writing monkeys. That's like the one I've confirmed that yes, I do enjoy writing monkeys and gorillas.
Yeah, good at it too.
I am good at it.
Yeah,
I am good at it. I think I think writing something that you know is for all ages, and that's going to encompass younger readers and stuff like that. I think that kind of teaches me to maybe lighten up a little bit. My stuff has a tendency to be very kind of intense and dark. A lot of my other work, so it was a nice it was a nice way to step back a little bit and kind of not be so serious.
Hmm.
Um, Not that everything that I write is dark and terrible. I've written all kinds of stuff for all kinds of audiences, but when you have to when you're working nonstop in something for a while, which like I've been doing like Vampirella for Dynamite now for God, I've been doing that. When did I start? That was 20. That was like
It's like
20.
25 years ago at least.
Well, that was like my Harris stuff, but with Nikki at Dynamite. That was I started doing that again when in 2020.
2020, yeah.
2020. So I've been doing like reoccurring Vampirella stuff, my stuff, and stuff with Jeannine. So doing something like the Ape was kind of like this breath of fresh air. It was kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun and crazy and exciting, and so yeah, it was kind of like getting out of the doom and gloom a bit and kind of relaxing a little bit with a giant monkey. So,
As one does.
that's what does.
So, is it any different kind of creating these characters as opposed to let's say Vampirella, which is kind of a known property, as you have full range to bring these characters to life. How is there a process that you go through, or
I don't know if it's necessarily. Honestly, I think like Jeannine had a good answer. We've been talking to some other interviewers, and she had a great answer about Maxwell, our main character. Maxwell is a 12-year-old boy. Tell that again, how you feel that we kind of create. Yeah,
Again, like drawing on my teaching career, I met a lot of 12-year-old boys in my day. And Maxwell, I think, is just kind of this like amalgamation of like all of the cool things from a lot of the cool kids that I met throughout the years. Like Maxwell is like super smart, and I of course had students who were like straight A students and super book smart. But then I had kids who were like not into the English thing, but could play the guitar like crazy, or they were gamers, or they were just like total nerds. Like I had like the total gamut of 12-year-old boys in 15 years. And there were certain things that just kind of stuck out. And I always loved like the really quirky kids. And I kind of think Maxwell is one of those kids where you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. You never really know. In some ways, you never know what he's thinking, but on the other hand, like he'll say something that you just didn't expect. So he's just he kind of grew, and every time we like write a different, scene with him in it, it was like sometimes I would like call to mind like previous students. I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember when that kid did this, or I remember when so and so did that. So it was fun, kind of like I don't know, like using my teaching career for something else.
oh, I was gonna. Did your teaching career also help you in your writing career? You know, in other ways.
I think so. Yeah, I think my teaching career kind of in my own writing. I think I always used to tell my students when we wrote that they needed to take a chance, that they needed to put themselves out there to just get things down on paper. And I find that I really don't take my own advice. And a lot of the time we would be writing something together and I'd like start writing something. I'd go, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. And Tom would be like, what is it? And I'd be like, no, it's not right. It's not right. He'd like put it down anyway. When we wrote a novel together, which hasn't been published, but we wrote that during the pandemic over Skype and in a Google Doc. And I definitely always used to tell my students that they needed to take chances, they need to put their ideas out there. And I found myself very hesitant to do that with Tom. And so I obviously didn't take my own advice a lot of the time, but I think I'm getting better. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think when Tom was on the show last time, he talked about writing with you over, Google Docs. So, is it has that experience made you guys better writers or better, able to work with one another?
I don't think we ever had a problem working together. I mean,
I don't think we really ever did.
no.
At the very beginning, I think my hesitation to kind of like put my ideas out there, I only really were hurting me. And now I think I'm better.
Yeah, oh, you're definitely better.
Better.
Yeah, you're definitely willing. You're way more willing to be a fool.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's a lot of what a lot of times writers who are kind of like restrained and holding back, they're afraid to be stupid. They're afraid to just throw the insanity out, especially in comic writing. Jesus, it's just comic writing is crazy. It's like like most of the time, whatever you're writing has got to have some kind of nonsense connected to it, be it superhero stuff, be it monsters or whatever. There's a craziness to it, and I think you have to kind of let yourself go. You kind of have to just kind of like shrug off that sane person for the afternoon and dive right in. I can't tell you how many times some of the stupidest ideas basically said as a joke.
Yeah, that's true.
Ended up having a kernel of a solution to a problem or to a major story element.
Yeah.
Because you find yourself laughing about the craziness that you just expressed, and then you go, well, wait a minute, and you pull it back a little bit, and you take off the silly wig or the rubber clown nose on it, and you're like, that's not a bad idea, and you find that there's good ideas amongst the nuttiness, amongst the crazy. I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's like the answer to a big issue, but sometimes it's just like little details too, because that's how we came up with like the word balloon for rocks in the APE. Like we were talking about how would the elementals speak, and so they would of course like wouldn't use contractions. They would have like more formal speech because they're from a time past. But we're like, I don't know, Rock, does he speak? No, he doesn't speak. Like he just has like word balloons over his head that have like pictures in them. That's just how he communicates. And it got to be a thing, and then every time we had him saying something, it was like, what picture can we put in there?
Yeah, what picture should go in there?
Funny. Yeah. So.
Were there? It sounds like that may have been a time when you guys were writing that you had a situation like that. Was there any other ones that were kind of memorable, or?
Oh God, we just moved from one stupid thing to the next. So I don't know. We're not even remembering half of it. We probably had 20 stupid things just today. I think a lot of it is like I can't be specific, but I think a lot of it is like even like joking around with dialogue. like just say
Yeah.
something outrageous, and then you're like, well, you know what, that
Yeah, that
sounded,
could work.
that
Yeah.
actually sounded pretty good, and you just kind of
Mhm.
polish it up and take out some fatty tissue, and you get a nice,
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of time it does happen with dialogue too.
yeah.
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 But it has happened in like plotting and things like that, to really
Yeah.
kind of say something outrageous, and then you're like, no, but you know what, that is kind of silly, but what if? And
It's all fun.
yeah, that's when this stuff is really fun. Is when you like
Mhm.
you don't expect the idea to go in the direction that it goes in.
Is there, anything else that you wanted to make sure that people knew about the book before that we maybe didn't cover?
Just that it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's very
I think there's something in it for everyone, especially with Craig's artwork. Like we had talked about how like on the face of it, it's just very simplistic and it's very like Hanna-Barbera-esque. But like when you really look at it, if you look at a panel twice, like you'll see things that you didn't see before. He's got an incredible attention to detail, and like his characters, like the faces are so expressive. So that's always strikes me because you look at it really quickly and it's like, oh, it's pretty simplistic, but it's not.
it's far more complicated than it even appears. There's a complexity to his simplicity.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
yeah.
I really said that.
You like that?
Yeah, that's
Every once in a while, I say
down.
something.
I'll put that in the
Every once in a while, I say something that's kind of smart.
It's profound. Yeah.
Profound. Yeah.
So, Jeannine, are there any other, comic properties that you would like to, maybe have a shot at, or, have a chance to write?
Honestly, I think going back to the revamp of the old EC stuff, I think I might be able to do that, like on my own, maybe.
Mhm.
Like just kind of like a little, like tiny little thing. I think I could handle that. I'm not like big into like the superheroes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're great, they're cool, but they're just not my thing. I like the little quirky, weird things. So I don't know, maybe someday. We'll see.
I'll drag her along. She'll be writing the detective chimp with me in no time.
That would be fun. That exists.
Now, did you have to do any? I meant to ask this earlier. Did you have to do like any research about apes when you were,
No.
writing to make sure that, or is it just kind of make it on the fly and?
No, he's like a giant chaotic god. So we just decided, he's a big, gigantic, angry ape. That's a god of chaos. So yeah,
Well, we didn't really know. We just pulled out of our butts.
yeah, very much like an ape does.
Yeah.
So, are you guys currently working on any other stuff that you can talk about?
Not that we can talk
We've got
about.
like 5 other projects that we have that we're working on, and I don't think we can talk about a single one of them because they haven't been officially announced yet.
No.
I think the only thing we can talk about is that Jeannine and I are writing the next book. I did a book with Mike Mignola called Grim Death in Bill the Electrocuted Criminal, and we are writing a new Grim Death novel together with Mike's input and stuff like that. Called what's that? The Clock Strikes Murder.
Clock Strikes Murder.
The Clock Strikes Murder is the title. We're going to be working on that. That was announced. So that should be out probably sometime in next year sometime.
Yeah.
But
and then there's like
there's like
3 or 4 comics
there's like 3 or 4 other comic things that
together. And And then you have another comic that's
I have another comic thing.
yeah.
It hasn't been announced.
Talking
So
about this is crazy.
we are busy. We won't be hitting the streets.
Not yet.
We won't have to hit the pole.
God.
So Tom, how did the Herculoids work out? How was that experience? I know since that's what we talked to.
Yeah, that was a blast. That was like everything that I wanted it to be. I got to tell my story, 10 issues. I'd love to come back. We'll see if I come back. I don't know. I know they have some other people doing some stuff with them. But yeah, working with Craig again, that was a great experience. I didn't have to worry about that aspect of the comics at all. But yeah, it was really fun. Especially it's a riot because the ape all came about because I wanted to write the Herculoids before anybody got the license. And as we were, did I get the Herculoids? Yeah, I got the Herculoids while we were finishing the ape, right?
While we were working on the ape, yeah.
Right. So suddenly, my dream came true on the Herculoid. So I was writing the ape, which is a Hanna-Barbera homage, and then I was writing the Herculoids, which is a Hanna-Barbera property. So it was like this really cool double dose of Saturday morning nonsense.
Did some of working on them at that time kind of leak into the other, or?
Well, honestly, I mean, the ape was as true a homage to that stuff as it could possibly be. So just sliding into the Herculoids while writing the ape was just incredibly easy because my brain was already in that mode. So yeah, they just kind of played off each other. They were very similar in terms of like the spirit and the emotions and stuff like that.
You were doing double duty then too. You were working on your stuff at like 5 in the morning. You were working on the Herculoids, and then you'd come back to me at like noontime, and we'd work for the rest of the day. You were crazy busy then. It was good. Kept you off the streets.
The pool.
Well, why don't as we start to wrap up, why don't you guys give us a kind of a pitch for the book, and is it out or coming out, or I'll let you.
It comes out July 21st, and the FOC date is at least about a month before that, I think.
Yeah. So you can ask your comic shops, ask your bookstores. You can definitely pre-order. You could go on
pre-order at Paper Cuts. It's on pre-order at Amazon. Barnes and Noble, I think, has it as well. And it's a fun book for really all ages.
Yep.
I have a great nephew who is 7 years old, and I can't wait to sit down and read this with him. I think he's gonna love it. So yeah, I think it's good for everybody.
It's going to be available in hardcover and paperback. So
and digital.
Yeah, and digital.
So
you can pick how you want it delivered. Craig's artwork is fantastic.
Yeah.
We got colors by Tom Gatt, who colored a lot of Jeff Smith's own work.
Yep.
Letters by Taylor Esposito, who's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great looking book, and we hope you buy it so we can do more stories with a big giant ape.
I know.
Keep me happy while I'm waiting for waiting for my Detective Chimp opportunity.
It's gonna be.
Again, I would read that.
I know you would. I know. I can tell. This is awesome. I'm gonna make you read some Detective Chimp stories, and you'll be sorry that you laughed.
I feel like was there a cartoon about that?
No.
Was
No.
it?
No, I don't think he was on it. I don't think he was in any of the cartoons. He's kind of an obscure character that suddenly left it in the spotlight again about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think he first appeared around Infinite Crisis when they first did the first run of Shadow Pack,
Yeah.
and then he's just kind of worked his way into the regular lineup of characters.
Yeah.
As
And
a,
isn't he originally from like the late 50s, early 60s?
yeah,
Yeah, like very early, and then he just disappeared. No one did anything with him, and then he's back, and I got his number. I can't wait. So if you're listening, DC, if you're listening, I'm available.
he did his time in Grant Morrison's comic book limbo, so
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time this evening to chat about the book, and would love to have you guys back when you have those other projects that you can chat about.
When we can talk about the other things, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, as my co-host likes to sign off saying, the world is or can be a very horrible place these days. So do something good, support local artists, support local businesses, support local meetings.
Yeah.
Above all, just don't be a jerk.
Just don't be a jerk.